walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way. Nothing can ruin my day, no matter what anyone does or say. I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. Cause I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up.
So hey everybody, it's Mickey and we are back in the kitchen today with some awesome recipes to add to your weekly meal plan. I have a couple of crockpot recipes and a really yummy casserole I know your family is going to love. So if you are new here, I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe. I put out new videos every week about all things home. The recipe that I'm going to share with you now is a little bit different. Now these ingredients may not sound like they go well together, but I'm telling you this recipe is really delicious. Today we are going to be making crockpot dill pickle chicken. And if you think about it, you know, there is a dill pickle component to Chick-fil-A chicken, and you know how much we all love that chicken. So for this recipe, you can use chicken thighs, you can use chicken breast. I'm using about a little bit over 2.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. You'll need a packet of ranch seasoning. You will need about a cup of dill pickles in their juice. You'll need 2 packets of brown gravy and about 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm also going to be seasoning this a little bit with some paprika, a little bit of pepper, and some Mrs. Dash and garlic powder. And then I've taken my chicken and I've cut it lengthwise and across. These were really big chicken breasts and I wanted to be sure that they cooked evenly and quickly. I'm just going to season it a little bit with some pepper and garlic, a little bit of Mrs. Dash, and some paprika. And then we're going to take our packet of ranch dressing and just sprinkle that on top. And then we're just going to take one of our brown gravy packets and do the same. We're going to save the other one for the end of our recipe. Then I have about a cup of dill pickles with their juice, and we're going to kind of lay our pickles on top of our chicken a little bit. Spread them around to, just so you can have each piece with a little bit of dill pickle on it. Dill pickles are my personal favorite anyway, so this recipe to me is just so yummy. All right, and then we're going just to pour this pickle juice on top of our chicken. And then we are going to add our butter on top of that. And I have just cut the 4 tablespoons of butter into 6 pieces. Then we're going to cover, and you can cook on low for 4 to 6 hours or high 3 to 4 hours. So it has been about 4 hours. Whenever I cook raw chicken, I always like to start the first hour at high and then I turn it down for about 3 hours, and that seems to cook it just perfectly. So I have my meat thermometer here and we're going to test it and see what it says. Oh yeah, it's done. It's still going up. It's about a 210, so it is way done. So what we're gonna do at this point is take our other packet of our gravy mix and we're going to sprinkle it in, stir it up, So this will thicken our gravy, and then it will be ready to serve. There is just something about the pickle juice that makes this chicken so tender. There's not an overwhelming dill pickle flavor. It's just a touch, and it makes the chicken so delicious. I have served this over top of mashed potatoes, on top of egg noodles. Today I made some rice and broccoli, and it is just so yummy. If you try any recipe from today's video, this is the recipe that you need to try. So I've gathered all the ingredients together for our next recipe. This is everything you're going to need for taco shells and cheese. This is a Pioneer Woman recipe. I found this in her most recent cookbook. You can also find it online, and I'll be sure to leave a link for you guys down below. This is a really good recipe. It may not be the most healthiest recipe that you can make, but I guarantee you your children are going to love this. So for this recipe, you are going to need about a pound of ground beef. You can also use ground turkey. I happen to have ground beef in the refrigerator, so that's what we're going to be using. You'll need 4 tablespoons of butter, about 2 cups of milk. For seasonings, I like to put in some black pepper and minced onion. You'll need about a cup or a cup and a half of shredded cheddar cheese. Now, in the Pioneer Woman's original recipe, she has all of the seasonings that pretty much add up to your taco seasoning packet. So I grabbed just an old El Paso taco mix in the original flavor for our recipe today. You'll need a box, about a pound of small shells. You'll need a can of Rotel tomatoes. You'll need this luxury brand of cheese, which is Velveeta. We'll be using about half of this container, and you're going to need about 1/4 of a cup to 1/2 cup of water. For this recipe, you are going to need your large skillet. We pretty much mix it all up here in the pan, and you will also need your stock pot to boil your pasta. So in our big skillet, I have a little bit of olive oil and a big tablespoon of butter, and we are going to take our ground meat and brown that up. So I have browned my ground beef pretty well. I drained off some of the fat that was in it. And now I'm going to add that taco seasoning, or you can just, do the seasoning combo that the Pioneer Woman has in her recipe. To this, I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of water, and we're going to stir that all up and let it thicken up just a little bit. This recipe is such a great idea if you have, leftover taco meat. I've also made something like this with leftover sloppy joes. It's kind of the same concept, and it just really helps to extend your meals and to do something a little bit different with leftovers. So we're going to turn the heat up just a little bit so it comes up to a little bit of a bubble, and then we're going to add our Rotel. So it's starting to bubble just a little bit, and we're going to add our Rotel tomatoes. Get all of them out of there. We're going to mix this up and allow the sauce to thicken up a little bit. Now once this cooks through and the sauce thickens up just a little bit, we're going to remove the meat from the pan and set it in a bowl aside, and then we're going to complete the rest of the recipe right in this pan. So my meat is all done. I have it all cooked, mixed with our Rotel and our taco seasoning. I have it reserved here in a bowl, and our pasta is all done cooking. It's all drained and sitting here ready to go. So in this pan, without even cleaning it, we're going to start off with melting some butter. So in our pan, I have The other 2 tablespoons of butter, I have that melting, and then I'm going to start to add really slowly a little under 2 cups of milk. I'm going to reserve a little bit in the measuring cup just in case we need to add it once we melt all of our cheese. So we're going to let this cook a little bit and scrape up all those good bits from the bottom of your pan because we want to season this as well as we can. So this is where I'm going to add a little bit of minced onion, and a little bit of red pepper flakes. Everything's a little bit better with a little bit of red pepper. Now that's not in the recipe, but you know, you can add the things that your family likes the most into pretty much any recipe. I mean, it's you're making it for your family and you know better than anybody else what they like. So we are going to let this come to just a slight bubble, and we're going to add our Velveeta. Our milk is starting to bubble just a little bit, and we are going to add our Velveeta. I've just taken half of that 16-ounce block and cut the Velveeta in little like 1/2-inch chunks, and we're going to stir this in until it is nice and melted. So our Velveeta is almost completely melted. We're going to add a couple handfuls of our cheddar cheese. You can use pretty much whatever you have in your refrigerator. We really like this 4-state cheddar blend that you can get from Sargento. It is really yummy. So we're going to add that in, and it's only going to take a few minutes for it to melt. Then we're going to take our pasta and add that into our melted cheese. I like to do this slowly just to give everything a chance to soak up all of that goodness. So the noodles are just perfect. We're going to add in our taco meat and mix that all up again. Adjust the seasoning, and it should be done. Here is our taco shells and cheese all plated up. I like to serve ours with a little bit of sour cream and some salsa. This is the salsa restaurant style that you can find at Walmart. It is really delicious. It has become my favorite store-bought salsa of all, and I probably buy it like every other week. We really love it. This is such a quick recipe, so easy to throw together, you know, at the end of a long day when the kids, you know, come in from the swimming pool or, you know, some summer sports. It's just the perfect meal to throw together and have everybody enjoy and sit down to a good meal. I may have just saved my favorite recipe for last. This recipe is for Crockpot pesto chicken and pasta. This is really a yummy recipe. You can mix all kind of different vegetables with it. We really like either like sauteed zucchini, broccoli, or spinach, or just alone. It is perfect. So for this recipe, you are going to need about 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. You'll need some mozzarella cheese. I prefer to use the mixture of mozzarella and provolone. I just think that it's such a good combo. You are going to need a jar of pesto, any kind will do. You will need some red pepper flakes, a stick of butter, a block of cream cheese. You can use heavy cream, but I like to use half and half. I really think that it does just as good a job. You really can't tell the difference. You'll need a pound of pasta. Whatever you have around the house will do. I really like this recipe with bow tie pasta or penne, which I have here. And you'll need some additional seasonings to taste. I like to use this blend of salt, pepper, and garlic. I use a little bit of paprika and also some Mrs. Dash. My crock pot's all set up with a liner. This recipe is a little messy, so either use a crock pot liner or spray your crock pot really good with non-stick spray. I've again cut my chicken up into pieces. In this recipe, we end up shredding the chicken, so this really does help it cook evenly and makes it easier to shred in the end. So I have our chicken in there, and we are going to season it with some salt and pepper and garlic. A little bit of paprika. I always use paprika when I put chicken in my crock pot. I think that it adds a nice color in the end. We're gonna put in some red pepper flakes. You can do this to taste. We like a little bit of heat in ours, so I'll probably add it now and also in the end. And then I'm going to add some Mrs. Dash. Next, I'm going to add our pesto. We're going to use this whole container. So I want to add this right on top of my chicken to give it the best flavor. Then I've cubed up my cream cheese, and I'm just going to drop this in on top of our pesto. Then on top of that, we are adding 1 stick of butter. So how could this be bad, right? With all this good stuff in it. Then we are going to cover and cook on high for 4 hours or low 6 hours. So it's been about 4 hours that our chicken has been cooking. We're going to check the temperature to see if it's ready. Oh yeah, it is definitely all done. So we're going to remove this chicken from the crock pot, and then I'm going to shred it and put it back in. I didn't even really have to remove the chicken to shred it. It is just so tender. I'm just using a fork to break it up here in the pot. I have my pasta cooking on the stove, and then we are going to start adding some really good things to this pot. Just a little side note in editing here, I'm going to be doing a voiceover in this portion of the video because while I was finishing this recipe up, I was talking to Rebecca on the phone. She was at Target picking up all the things that she's going to need for her new little kitten that she is getting this week. Although she was very hilariously excited about this kitten, I didn't really think you all necessarily wanted to hear about it, so I'm going with the voiceover. So let's get back to the recipe. I'm adding the half and half to the crock pot and mixing that in really well. I'm also added about a cup or so of the mozzarella and provolone cheese. And then I have cooked some broccoli with my pasta, and I'm going to add the pasta to the pot as well, mixing it all in so the sauce can thicken up. To do that, I just leave everything in the crock pot with the lid off for about 10 minutes or so. The sauce will thicken and dinner will be ready. This recipe is just as yummy as it looks. You can top it with a little bit more Parmesan cheese or some extra seasoning, but I really like it just the way it is. So for those of you that would ask, I thought I would include a picture of Rebecca. She is doing great in her new city. She has a job that she really truly loves, and now she has a new member of her family. So that's going to do it for me today. Be sure to check the description box down below for details to all the recipes that I shared today. Should you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you'll join our communities over on Facebook and Instagram at My Bashful Life. And please don't forget to subscribe. I would really love to have you all back as part of our YouTube family. So until I see you in that next video, I hope that you love the life that you have, be kind to each other, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop. It is my time. 'Cause I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through